The following guided meditation was recorded on September 23rd, 2023, as part of the Boston-based meetup group, Live Your Best Freaking Life. This guided meditation is interactive, meaning you are meant to do it while you journal. I will be providing instructions for you and guiding you every step of the way. During the meditation, there will be certain prompts instructing you to open up your journal and write. There is nothing you need to do. Simply open up a journal to a blank page, get a piece of paper, or even open up the Notes app on your phone and follow along. I will first begin by getting you comfortable and settled into your body. Then, together, we will progress through a series of visualizations. The beauty of this style of meditation, which I've designed, is that it allows you to write while you're in a deep flow state and capture ideas, capture states of being, capture feelings, and capture emotions. Make sure you're in a quiet space where you could be uninterrupted for the next hour. If you would like to join a live future meditation on Zoom, visit meetup.com and search for Live Your Best Freaking Life, guided meditation and journaling group, now with nearly 1,500 members from around the world. I want you to get comfortable in your body. If you wish to close your eyes and just kind of sink into your physical space, that will be the first step. So I'm going to begin by reading off some of my favorite quotes about self-compassion. And we're going to use these quotes to kind of get ourselves into a certain mindset. So the first quote is, self-compassion is simply giving the same kindness to ourselves that we would give to others. And to begin, just kind of sit with this sentence, this sentiment. Self-compassion is simply giving the same kindness to ourselves that we would give to others. Another quote that I like is, loving yourself is not vanity, it is sanity. Loving yourself is not vanity, it is sanity. So sitting with the emotions that these quotes bring up for us, we're going to begin the guided meditation. So I want you to imagine that you are lying in the middle of a beach. There is beautiful white sand. The temperature is perfect. The water is crystal clear. Maybe you are lying on a beach towel or on a chair. Maybe you are on the bare sand. And you just take a moment to just sit and be still. And you find yourself looking up at the sky. You find yourself looking out into the water, and you feel a sense of compassion and peace. And you find yourself reflecting. And in this moment, I'm going to continue by reading some more quotes. This one is from Maya Angelou. And it says, the real difficulty is to overcome how you think about yourself. So you find yourself pondering this quote. The real difficulty is to overcome how you think about yourself. And you feel very much in a relaxed state of mind. You're just kind of thinking about the quote and how it resonates. And you notice around you, the sand is starting to shake gently. There is a vibration of sorts kind of emanating from the sand near you. And from the sand, a sand castle starts to emerge and rise up from the sand. It starts to appear and rise up bigger and bigger. At first, it is 1 story, then 2 stories, then 3, then 4. And this sandcastle seems to rise up as far as the eye can see, all the way up into the sky. You realize now that this sandcastle is actually, or it has become, the largest structure on this earth. It is so tall, it is almost incomprehensible. And as you lie there on this beach and you see the sandcastle next to you, you have this intuition, this gut feeling that this sandcastle has been built and designed and resurrected just for you. You sit up, perhaps you stand up, and you just take in the size of this sandcastle. And there was a large door, a large front door in the middle. And you slowly take steps, walking towards this door. It appears to be very old, perhaps 5,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1,000,000 years old. This door has been there since the beginning of time. And on this door, there is a very large door knocker. Decide now what color this door is, what the material this door is made out of. And it is very ornate looking, almost like something out of a Victorian age. And you take your hand and you put it on this door knocker. You wrap your hand around it. It is very heavy as you start to pull it up. And you knock 3 times on this door. The sound that these knocks make, it echoes across all of the sand and all of the water. And suddenly this door opens very slowly. There is no person opening this door. This door just seems to open on its own. And you stand there in the doorway and you take a step inside and you find yourself standing inside of this sandcastle. And as you look around, you notice that it is a room. And this room is a room that is very familiar to you. Perhaps it is a room in your house, perhaps your bedroom, or your living room. But it is a room in your own personal space. It is a room where you feel very comfortable. And it is the room in your house where you feel the most safe. You have been here before, and you find yourself looking around this room, and you know every nook and every cranny of this room. You know where every piece of furniture is. Perhaps you find yourself glancing at the dresser, and you already know exactly what is in the dresser. If there are cabinets, you know what is in them. If there is a TV, you know how to turn it on. Everything is very familiar. And even though this is a room you have been in many times before, spent many hours of your life in this particular moment, this room has a different perspective. It is almost as if you are outside of your body and you are in this room for the very first time. And we are now going to do an exercise together where we express simple gratitude. So I want you to picture something in this room that you know very well that brings you immense joy. Perhaps it is a book on the bookshelf that has brought you incredible knowledge or changed your perspective. Perhaps it is a coat that keeps you warm in the winter. Perhaps it is a pair of shoes that you can go running in. Perhaps there are gardening tools that let you plant flowers. But you find yourself kind of scanning the room in your mind's eye, picking out certain items that you are grateful for. Focus on one of these items now. And in your journal, I want you to write down what this item is. And silently express thanks for this item, for finding it, for it being in your life, and for the joy and the expansion that it has brought you thus far. And now you're going to choose another item, something that enhances the quality of your life. Perhaps it is your laptop. Perhaps it is art supplies. Whatever it is, no matter how simple or inexpensive this item is, maybe it is even just a window or a fan or a blanket. Write this second item now in your journal and take a moment to express gratitude and thanks for this item and for all of the joy it has brought you into your life thus far. The third item is hanging on the wall. It is a mirror. This mirror is not something that you've ever noticed before. It is brand new. And you find yourself walking slowly up to this mirror. And you can see your face and your neck and your ears and your nose. And you find yourself just kind of staring back at yourself gently. And in this moment, you are very proud of your reflection. You are very proud of the person that you are looking back at. And there are many emotions that perhaps come flooding in, and these are all emotions of joy and positivity. And one emotion that starts to flood through is a feeling of forgiveness. You notice that there is another quote appearing on the mirror. Words that magically start to appear, text that starts to pop up on the mirror before you. And this text is a very simple sentence. And it says, talk to yourself like you would to someone you love. And right now, there is a word or a phrase or a sentence that starts to take shape in your mind's eye. And it is something that you need to hear, something that you need to tell yourself. Perhaps it is an affirmation. Perhaps it is something like you are strong, or you are brave. Perhaps it is a realization. But in this moment now, I want you to write down in your journal what this word or sentence or phrase is that is coming to you. And as you use your pen or your pencil or your keyboard, whatever it is, to write this phrase or this word down, you feel very powerful, because it is almost as if the physical world and the spiritual world or the dream world are coming together. And you find yourself turning your attention back to this mirror. The reflection that you stare back at is both very familiar and very unfamiliar to you. It is familiar in that you recognize that this reflection is indeed you. There is no age to the person you are looking at. They do not appear young. They do not appear old. And you realize now that the reflection you are looking at is essentially your true aura, your spirit, your heart, your emotions. And although you are still staring back at your physical form, the person you are looking at in this mirror is essentially a soft version of you. This is the version of you that loves you, that practices self-compassion and self-love. This is the version of you that always pulls through for you, that always tells you everything is going to be okay. This is the version of you that is strong. And you reflect back on moments in your life when you had an inkling that everything was going to be okay, or you had an emotion that everything was going to work out the way it was supposed to. And that if you were going through something difficult, this difficulty was only temporary. And these voices in your head, that feeling that everything is going to be okay, essentially, you realize now that this is really your own voice and your own strength. And this mirror in front of you starts to fade away, and you express gratitude for its existence. You stand there in this room that is so familiar to you, on this beach, in this large, mysterious sandcastle. And you remember now that this sandcastle is incredibly tall, with many, many floors. The first floor of this sandcastle, where you are now, represents your current state of being, for you are there in a room that is very familiar to you. Now you start to look around this room, and you are just observing. There is nothing you need to do. But you start to observe the daily aspects of life. Perhaps in the corner of the room, there is a basket of laundry that needs to get done. Perhaps there are papers that need to be filed. Perhaps something is dirty and you realize it needs to be cleaned. Perhaps there is food that needs to be prepared, or children or dogs or something or someone demands your attention. And in this moment, you are just observing. There is nothing you need to do. We are now going to leave this state of being You notice that there is a staircase in the corner of the room. You go to the staircase and you go up the stairs. And you come across another room. This room is filled with windows. It is large and spacious, and there is not much furniture, maybe a bed, maybe a couch. And you notice that all of these windows are large, but every single one has a curtain covering it. You cannot see the outside. This room is very symbolic. It represents your potential as a person. And many times, change is something we all have the power to incorporate into our lives. These curtains, you realize, represent an inability to change, perhaps a blockage you are facing with an issue or a circumstance or a person. And in this particular moment, you realize just briefly, you are going to attempt to transition and change your mindset. Perhaps there is a habit you wish to change. Perhaps there's a situation you wish to adjust or transition out of. You find yourself walking to one of the windows, and you draw the curtain. You brush it aside, you push it over to the left or to the right, and the sunlight starts to pour into the room. And this is a room that has not seen sunlight in many years. And as the sunlight from this window dances across the corners of the room, you notice things that you never noticed before. Perhaps there are cobwebs in the corner that are suddenly illuminated with light. The dust on the furniture is now noticeable. And this is very symbolic. It is almost as if you finally have an urge to clean, to sweep, to get rid of the dust that was holding you back, that was making it hard to breathe. And the dust was always there, but you couldn't see it without the light. There was another large window, and this time you walk a little bit faster towards it. And you push the curtain aside. And more light pours in. And you recognize now that this light, again, is very symbolic. You feel lighter. There was another window and another and another and another. And each window, you do the same. You run over, you push the curtain to the side, and the light pours in. And you feel the heat of the sunlight touching your face, and it feels warm. And this heat represents the beautiful potential that life holds. There is a mantra, essentially, that starts to flow into your subconsciousness. This mantra has to do with light flooding in. And it is a mantra tied to self-compassion. This mantra is, be kinder to yourself, and then let your kindness flood the world. Be kinder to yourself, and then let your kindness flood the world. You find yourself walking over to one of the windows, And you notice outside there are people down below walking. Perhaps there are park benches or people are sitting and reading. Perhaps people are playing ball or pickleball or tennis. People are walking dogs, walking to work. And you realize you've lived in this room perhaps for many years of your life, and you've never really taken a moment to stop and pause and let the light in and look outside and feel connected. Perhaps you've been so shut off or so obsessed, for lack of a better word, of what lies within the four corners of this room and what lies within the four corners of your existence. You notice now there is another staircase in the corner of the room, and you walk towards it. You climb up the stairs, and at the very top of the stairs, there is an elevator. You press the button for the elevator, the doors open, and you get in. This elevator is made entirely out of glass. And the view is incredible. You can see as far as the eye can see. The mountains, the water, the lakes, the deserts, the rivers, the beach, the parks, the cities, the countries. You feel as if you can see to the other side of the world and back again. And you feel a very stark contrast to where you started. Initially, you were in a space that was very familiar to you. Then you were looking out the windows, feeling a little bit more connected. And now in this moment, you feel very free. This elevator starts to move up, going higher and higher. And this elevator that exists in this sandcastle on the beach, you realize that the highest floor of this sandcastle is as high as any person on Earth has ever traveled to, with the exception of the astronauts going into space. And as this elevator starts to go higher and higher and higher, you feel yourself slowly becoming stronger and stronger. It is perhaps a gradual transition, but you can feel the air start to shift. The temperature of the air changes to become more pleasurable. The quality of the air gets crisper and brighter. The weather becomes more and more beautiful. And as you go up this elevator, there is what appears to be some kind of a recording playing in the background, kind of like elevator music. This recording, you realize, is your own voice playing back to you. This voice is you, except it is you much older, much wiser, and much stronger than who you are now. And this voice is saying a sentence over and over again. And I will repeat this sentence 3 times. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. And this voice, coming from a much older and wiser you, resonates very deeply with you. You feel very safe when you hear these words. This voice, the older and wiser you, knows every single thing about you between now and the moment when you will take your last breath here on this earth. They have experienced everything, lived through everything, experienced every joy, every triumph, every burst of laughter, every celebration, every smile, every tear of joy. And even though, as in any life on this earth, the moment between this present moment and when you do eventually take your very last breath, of course, will be entangled or enmeshed with a vast array of emotions, the good, the bad, everything in between. In this moment, you find yourself grateful for the contrast. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. And this elevator, as it continues rising up and up and up, eventually the elevator pauses and you recognize you have reached the very top of the elevator. And the voice that was on the speaker starts to fade away, but the presence of your older, much wiser self is still there. Perhaps this person is standing beside you in the elevator, just as if you once looked into the mirror and saw another version of yourself staring back at you. This figure, perhaps it is visible to the eye. Perhaps it is someone that only you can see. Perhaps it is not visible, but it is something that you can feel. They are there with you. And in this moment, you realize this is not a temporary or fleeting connection. This strength, this alternate person has always been there for you. They are there for you now, and they will always be there for you and with you and for you. Whether you want to think of this person as some kind of a guardian angel or a spirit guide or merely just a close friend, someone you've always known, you feel very deeply connected. There are doors to this elevator that start to appear, and slowly they start to open. And before you, there is a long hallway. This hallway is designed like an atrium. The walls and the ceiling are made of glass. And because you are at the highest point possible on earth, there is nothing you can see except for sky. You are so high up, there are no clouds to be seen, for all of the clouds are beneath you. You are at the point of the earth where the stars and the galaxies mingle with the oxygen. And as you stand there in this hallway, it is a very long hallway. It seems to never end. And you leave the elevator and you start walking down this hallway made of glass. And to the left and to the right of you, various people start to appear. They are standing there on the sides of the room. And as you walk past them, they stand there and they wave and they smile. And they are so deeply happy to see you. Some of these faces are not familiar. You don't necessarily recognize them. These are the faces of people whose lives you have very, very deeply touched, but whom you either don't remember touching or don't recognize that you have affected them positively. Perhaps, for example, if you are or were a teacher, there are students you have long forgotten about who will always remember and cherish you. Perhaps there was once someone walking down the street feeling lonely. You smiled at them and you brought them joy. And as you were walking down this hallway, there are so many people there. And you feel almost overwhelmed, perhaps, in a good way. You do not recognize until this moment what a positive effect you've had on the world. Suddenly, other faces start to appear. You continue walking down this hallway and you walk past other faces smiling and waving at you as you walk by. And these are the faces of people that you recognize and that you know. And these are people also whose lives you have positively touched. Perhaps colleagues, perhaps friends, perhaps family members. Perhaps someone whose life you've helped to uplift or change. Perhaps someone who once, a long time ago, you said something kind to, and they will always remember and be thankful for what you said. And as you continue walking down this hallway, you recognize more faces. This time, these are people who have changed your life positively. People who bring you joy. People who you look forward to seeing. Perhaps this also includes animals, dogs or cats or pets who you have loved and who loved you. And you merely keep walking and wave and smile and nod. And with each person you make eye contact with, you feel grateful. There is one more final phase as you continue walking. Now it appears hundreds or even thousands of people are lined up against the hallway. And as you continue walking, these are people whose lives you will positively touch, or people who you will bring joy to. You have not yet met them. You have not yet spoken. You have not yet encountered them. But one day you will. Perhaps these people will be merely strangers who you hold the door for. someone you exchange a few kind words with in the airport or at the coffee shop or at the park. And even if these people are not people that you will have long, deep interactions with, you find it fascinating, all of the people you meet or interact in your life. At the end of this hallway, you notice once again there is a mirror. And in this mirror, you are looking back at yourself. You are looking back at the present version of yourself, the version of yourself that exists right now in this moment. The version of yourself in the reflection is deeply happy. This person lacks anxiety. This person lacks fear. This person is fully present. And even if in your own life, this is something you do not yet feel in its entirety, you feel very deeply connected to this person in the mirror. For this person is essentially yourself, as if the quality of your life, emotionally, spiritually, physically, was as high as it could possibly be. And as if your mindset, all of your daily habits, the thoughts that you choose to think, as if everything was pure and joyous and for your greatest good. The person in this mirror starts to fade away, and you feel yourself very slowly gliding back down towards the earth. There was a long way to fall. You fall very slowly and very beautifully and very gracefully. And you start to fall faster and faster back towards the earth. It is almost as if your body is becoming like a comet. There is heat and light that starts to surround your body, and you start to fall faster and faster. And as you fall faster, energetically, you feel stronger. It is almost as if you are a shooting star. And as you approach the earth, you are falling so fast. Your body hits the earth, hits the soil, hits the water, hits the sand. Decide now what part of the earth you land in. The city, the country, a town, a beach, the water, the earth. And from the earth, your physical body starts to reemerge. And you are now standing on the earth. And you feel your 2 feet planted firmly on the ground. To close out this guided meditation, we are going to repeat another mantra. We are going to repeat this mantra 5 times. To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. And you find yourself now mouthing the words, either physically or in your mind's eye, to love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. In this moment, you are about to begin and embark on a lifelong romance with yourself. In this moment, you feel deep forgiveness. You feel compassion and kindness. Any decision in your life that you've made where you were not acting for your best self with the knowledge you know now, when you had blinders on, you express forgiveness now. For now, in this moment, you are wiser and stronger than you've ever been. And you recognize now that every person on this earth, every person doing this meditation now, we all have aspects of our life that we wish to let go of. We all have situations we wonder if things had gone differently, if we had decided to take a different path. But in this moment, none of that matters. Because the path you are on now is exactly the right path for you. And you find yourself recognizing that mistakes and fears, regrets, they are empowering, for in reality, they are merely lessons. And your purpose here on this earth, even if just in this moment now, is to recognize that if we had come to this earth and achieved everything we wanted to achieve, if everything had gone the exact way we wanted it to, we wouldn't have grown. We wouldn't have ever expanded. And in this moment, as you stare on there on this earth with your 2 feet planted on the ground, you find yourself yearning and longing for a sense of expansion, for a sense of growth. And you find yourself with a very strong desire to practice softness with yourself, to practice softness with those around you, to practice softness with situations that may come your way. And you find yourself appreciating the concept of contrast and appreciating the beauty of life. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. To end this meditation, we will close on a very important concept. I am enough. I am enough the way I am right now. I am enough with what I have. I am enough with where I am. There is nothing more that I need in this moment. And you recognize now that to look outward, to yearn, to desire, disconnects us. To look inward, to meditate, to focus, that is where expansion and growth happens. As you come back into your physical body, perhaps you move your eyes around in your head. Perhaps you nod your head up and down as if to say yes. Perhaps you Wiggle your toes, stretch your feet, stretch your legs, wiggle your fingers, move your hands back and forth. You feel a vibration and an energy within your body. This energy is the energy of strength and self-compassion. And to close out this meditation, you recognize that this energy is not necessarily anything new that is being brought into your life. It has always been there. It is merely an energy that is being rekindled. It is merely a sense of strength and joy and self-love that has always been there. It is merely just bubbling up to the surface, reestablishing itself, coming back to the forefront of your emotions so that you can essentially change your mindset and appreciate the beauty, your beauty. To transition out of this meditation, I'm now going to give you a couple of minutes, and I want you to open up back into your journal, back where you wrote your words of gratitude. And I want you to write how you feel. Maybe there are images or emotions or sentences or memories. Don't worry about it being perfect. Don't worry about it being messy. Just write for 2 minutes. Hey, I'm Reverend Yugen Bond, host of the Enough-ism podcast. If you're interested in meditation combined with journaling, check out my community of nearly 1,500 members worldwide at meetup.com/enoughism-podcast. For feedback, topic ideas, or to be a guest on the show, email me at enoughisompodcast@gmail.com. Discover more at IamEnoughism.com, including transcripts from former episodes and some of my new experiments with AI-generated meditation music. To support the show, consider donating on my Meetup page or Venmo to @Enough-ism. You are enough with what you have and what you are right now.